ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about none other than Senator Bernie Sanders. So, Senator Bernie Sanders late Tuesday demanded that the Trump administration immediately rescind its decision to grant pharmaceutical giant Gilead Sciences exclusive rights to the antiviral drug Remdesivir, one of the many drugs currently being tested as a possible treatment for the novel coronavirus that is rapidly spreading across the world and taking lives across the globe. In a statement, Senator Bernie Sanders said it's truly outrageous that after taxpayers put tens of millions of dollars into developing Remdesivir, Trump's Food and Drug Administration is exploiting a law reserved for rare diseases to privatize a drug to treat a pandemic virus. The Intercept also reported on Tuesday that the FDA earlier this week granted Gilead orphan drug status over Remdesivir, which is developed with the help at least $79 million in taxpayer funds. So we're paying for it. They're just choosing to privatize it. Which was developed at the help of hold on. The designation, according to the Intercept, allows the pharmaceutical company to profit exclusively for 7 years from the product and could block supplies of the antiviral medication from generic drug manufacturers. And Senator Bernie Sanders also went on to say, now's not the time for profiteering in the pharmaceutical industry. Now's the time to bring our scientists together to develop and produce the best treatment for the coronavirus as quickly as possible. And so he also went on to state, right now, we must put human life above corporate profit. We cannot give pharmaceutical corporations a monopoly on treatments that could save millions of people during this crisis. And again, look, as it stands right now, confirmed cases, 20,000 people have died from this virus. But guess what? That number is going to keep on rising because there is no cure. And if the Trump administration chooses to basically favor big pharma, well, then guess what? None of us are going to be able to afford to buy this life-saving vaccine. And so then more people are going to die, all at the behest of the large corporations. See, this is why we got to get rid of Citizens United. This is why we got to get money out of politics. Large pharma is going to profit off this. They're going to be okay. It's just the rest of the people are not. We're once again suffering, and this is it's easy to blame Trump. I mean, Trump is obviously a horrible person, horrible president. But you know what? This system was continued on under previous Republican and Democratic administrations. This could have been stopped under maybe Bill Clinton's administration or maybe even Barack Obama's administration. But guess what? They didn't, because the Democrats and Republicans are all bought and owned by big pharma, the prison industrial complex, the health insurance industry, the military industrial complex, big fossil fuels. I mean, this is who runs our government, corporations. So guys, let's lay into this. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, for me, the biggest one is obviously the fact that this drug is being patented and not being allowed to go to generic drug manufacturers, that is a real world thing that, like, in reality impacts how quickly the illness can be treated. So that's just a nuts and bolts functional thing that history will not look kindly on. And I think this article illustrates that perfectly, or rather Sanders himself illustrates that perfectly when he says, when Jonas Salk developed the polio vaccine 65 years ago, he understood the tremendous value it would have for all of humanity, and he refused to patent it. That's, I think, one of the more telling sentences in the entire article. And this is a continued botching of how basically the government, from all the way from local to federal levels is falling short in handling this outbreak.
Agreed.
So this is the story of America again. So we have a pandemic, and what's everyone do? Hey, how can we monetize this? We'd like to make some money off this. How can we do that? Again, how was every drug started? Public funding. Then it's sold for next to nothing to a company who will turn around and sell it back to us. What I will say to everyone is what we can expect is what we always expect, which will not be a surprise, is in 6 months or a year from now, whatever administration is in power, probably with the exception of Sanders, if he does get in, is going to be saying, how dare these Chinese manufacturers think they can undercut our virus medication with their cheap generic knockoffs and hurting our patent protection. We need stronger trade restrictions against China to stop our companies from making less money. Isn't this absurd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what I was going to say is when I was reading this article, it was like anybody who's been paying attention to anything that's been going on for any amount of time in this country is looking at this and saying, well, yeah, of course this is what's happening. And as you know, and as Kit says, oh, Congress really needs to buckle down and fight for availability, accessibility. There is no recent history that shows us that that's going to come anytime soon. And so I think that this is a great opportunity for pharma to be profiting. I know that Senator Sanders says otherwise, but I think that pharma is seeing this as a much different opportunity. And, is people's health ever really a great opportunity, like values wise, morals wise, to be profiting? No, the answer to that is no. And so it's like when we're making these arguments, in order to create, medicine for this virus, we have to remember that there's also cancer out there. There's also all of these other, killers of diseases, and none of those we should be profiteering, or pharmaceutical companies should be profiteering off either.
Yeah.
Every time I feel like a broken record at this point, because it seems like every story we do, I just end up saying disgusting. Like, this is disgusting, right? Mm-hmm. It's greed again. I remember there was a popular video with Gilead where AOC was fighting for it because I think there was an HIV medicine that they were charging $2,000 a month. And in Australia, it was $8 a month. And so who knows what if they get their way, how much this is going to go for. And Paul had a great point saying that if people can't afford it, then they're just going to keep infecting other people. And this is okay.
Hey, but there's
go ahead.
Okay, so I was going to say, everyone, fair to know that the cost of these drugs is obviously far less a cost to the economy than the epidemic we're facing that's destroying the economy. Much less.
So, here's the issue. Right now, Congress has just passed its coronavirus relief package. So apparently we're all going to get the nice little crumb of $1,200, which to some people, that's fantastic. To others, it's really not enough. But here's an interesting thing too. How is that money? Like, let's say people are frugal enough to save enough. Is that enough to actually buy the vaccine? Because you know what? It's not. Knowing Big Pharma and how we've covered numerous stories on how they overcharge and keep on raising the prices, we see that no one can afford this medicine. And the sad fact about viruses is that this virus will continue to spread because no one's going to have the money to go. Just same thing like no one has the money to really afford an ambulance. People are taking Lyfts or Ubers just to go to the hospital, at least before this pandemic was happening. Now these hospitals are overcrowded. And another issue is that this virus can mutate. So guess what? If the people can't afford the vaccination, the virus is still going to be out there, and it could turn into something far more virulent, something far more dangerous. And then we are all screwed again, thanks to large corporations that want to make a profit off of people dying. We pride ourselves in being a powerful country. We pride ourselves in being a first world nation. Is this how a first world nation treats its people? Well, I guess in the United States, the answer is yes. So if you're a foreign national and you're hearing this thing about the American dream, please stay away. Not because we don't want you, but because you're better off where you're at, because we don't have Medicare for all. We don't have student debt forgiveness. We're not investing into our infrastructure, and our government is letting our people die right now. Our government is only looking out for major corporations, because the major corporations are the number one constituent for the DNC and the RNC. And that's a real sad fact. So whether you're a diehard vote blue no matter who, or just a diehard Republican, remember this. The elected officials in the United States Congress will never, ever work for you. They'll only tell you things that you want to hear, tell you things that'll make you feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, they're on the phone begging for more corporate donations, and good luck with trying to ask them to help you.
And just a final note to go with Kit. I was just reading, there was a woman, I think it was New York, who was just charged for the privilege of being treated for coronavirus, $40,000.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. $40,000.
We don't have a cure. This isn't even the cure. This is just treatment.
Treatment.
No cure.
Who has that kind of money?
I hope that $1,200 comes real fast.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
Give me $2,000 for 20 months and we'll call it even.